See the Sin Boys there on your screen, very fired up. You can see Juves getting behind them. A young team, certainly. I think the Cinderella story is very fitting for the side, given that a lot of these players have actually never played on LAN.
Yeah.
So a lot of, Cardred and Juves, kind of the emotional sense of the team are going to have to see if they can rally their troops. Chiefs, of course, so much experience in the OPL. They look very cool, very calm. Be interesting to see if that manifests itself on the Rift at all.
It's almost maniacal how calm the Chiefs are. Like, it's unbelievable. They're playing at a LAN event. It's no surprises to see Sin with a bit of nerves. They say they're the underdogs, they have nothing to lose. I don't think that means anything when you're up against this Chiefs roster that are so ice cold. It's almost evil.
Well, we'll see how this happens as we do have the bans completed. Chiefs have banned Gangplank, Braum, and Trundle as their first three. Whereas Sin gone for Callista, Lulu, and Poppy. Chiefs blue side though, first pick Sivir. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, that was the thing that we had to talk about. Why did the Chiefs decide to take blue side every single time, and why did Sin choose to take red side? Well, on red side, you have the counter pick as picks are continuing to go out. They have a very strong mid laner. It makes sense that they want the counter pick from red side. With the Chiefs having that priority pick on the blue side, obviously it's important to them. And what's the champion? Sivir, and I expect it to be Sivir every time she's available.
And it feels like it's almost these two teams showing a lot of their styles already. First pick Sivir for the Chiefs. Alistar Gragas for Sin. Saw a lot of red side Ali Gragas yesterday in our first semi-final. I mean, they're two great champions together, but already you're seeing the differences between these teams.
Yeah, and I think to me this already says that Sin are going to lane swap. I think that having the Alistar with the Gragas is actually a strong 2v2, especially once the Alistar hits level 2. But what they are trying to do is actively avoid having an Alistar into a Sivir and anything lane, because the level 1 pressure would push them out.
Well, have to be careful because Rainier and Egypt very aggressive from the bottom half of the map. Azir, though, is going to get locked in for the Chiefs. They'll take the Maokai there as well. Not a lot of teams are willing to do this, but the Chiefs, again, even on blue side, will just give away their solo lanes. Here they are.
Exactly, and that's like the big thing is they don't care about the counter pick. You're playing a control mage style, so I mean Azir has pretty much every good matchup imaginable. Maybe a Veigar counter in there, but he's going to be fine either way. So Chiefs, very, very clear game plan.
They're not showing their top laner either here from Sin, and of course they already know who it's up against, being that Maokai, so perhaps their wildcard champion option is going to be in the top lane. LeBlanc is actually a very big personal favorite of mine. The way that I saw it is if he was going to split push, it's not easy to do against a Maokai. It doesn't matter what champion you are, you have a very hard time killing him, whereas LeBlanc doesn't necessarily want to split, actually just wants to group with the team and work around some kind of siege strategy with numbers there.
Yep, they've got that LeBlanc Lucian, so plenty of good damage in that mid game. We'll see if Sin can get Rhymeister in particular ahead on his LeBlanc and start picking members of the Chiefs off, but the Chiefs, solid drafts as always. Nautilus Kindred will actually finish their draft here, so Supportalus going to make a return.
Yeah, very curious. Supportalus is definitely strong. It's been coined as like the lesser Thresh, but also tankier instead. So positives and negatives to both. That would not surprise me to see these two actually want standard lanes and try and find them. Because that pressure, like you can't push a Nautilus out.
On the other side though, we'll see what Sing want to finish off this draft with. Don't think it's going to be Garen, but I appreciate it, Rogue. 30 seconds are going to tick by. We'll see just what Sing want for presumably their top lane. There's some flexibility in the picks they have, but have to think they're going to give Chippies the counter pick here. They have the full draft of the Chiefs now. Very solid, of course. Sivir Azir, really good 2 carries. Kindred can help out there as well. No obvious weaknesses, but Chippies, they are going to do it. Actually locks in Aurelia.
I was waiting for this. I didn't know when it was going to get brought out, but you know what? Better late than never on the side of Sin. Chippies has been, for quite an extended period of time, coined as the Aurelia guy in the OPL, who's never really had an opportunity to show it off, and saving it for last pick. You know, it kind of revealed they had something up their sleeve. I didn't think it'd be this, though.
But the other thing that we also have to address is as the champions are being swapped around, Chippy's picking the Aurelia into what we suspected would be the Maokai top, but it looks like it's going to be Maokai's support.
You never know. So have to wait till 20 seconds is the hard cutoff, but even with Ignite Maokai support, could be mixing it up here. Oh my god, Chiefs.
No, this is totally fine. It's excellent that I'm on this game too, because OMG from the LPL used to run Maokai support multiple times. Works pretty much like, I was going to say Lissandra support, but then I realized that was also an LPL game.
Kind of like Nautilus.
Yeah.
In that it's guaranteed lockdown. And guess what? The Chiefs have both.
Guaranteed CC, good wave clear. He's got great base stats, so he's not an item-dependent champion.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Nice.
Nice.
I love it. I mean, really creative drafting for both teams. You had to think that Sin did have a pick prepared there with the Aurelia. Chippies is a very good Aurelia player, and Swiper himself, I believe, has even talked up the man before, but I love it. They're like, red side drafting, let's get a counter pick. Chief's like, no, I tricked you. Had a flex the whole time.
It was a flex all along. Yeah. I actually think it was very clever from the Chiefs. And honestly, like, it's a LeBlanc, so in terms of lockdown, Maokai is one of the few champions that's guaranteed to be able to hit you. Doesn't matter where you go, doesn't matter how clever you get and how many shadows you go back to. Still going to find you. Like, it's really good for lockdown. And I mean, ganking pressure as well. You can stack saplings at level 1, and that makes me excited.
Well, let's see. But these are some great comps to kick off game number 1. Don't forget, of course, to get out there on Twitter and have your say. Hashtag CHF win for the Chiefs or hashtag Sin win. Still the best hashtag remaining in the OPL. Actually, second best. Hashtag IMOPL is probably the best. But as far as team win tags go, Sin win. Thank you for the rhyming. Makes it much easier.
Yeah, it actually makes more sense than Chef win.
It does.
You know?
Chef win? What?
Chef, doesn't it?
Chef one.
Well, we'll see the Chiefs there. They'll be ready here for game 1. Cool as always. Sin boys, we'll see if they can get fired up on a lot of different comfort picks here. I wonder if the Maokai support's going to throw them off at all, but you have to think. But both teams coming in looking good here. Everyone's gone on boot camps here in top 4. People have really prepared for their matches. Sin know they've got effectively nothing to lose, but that doesn't mean they don't want to come away with the win here.
Yeah.
Big thing also is, again, we suspect that Sin will look for a lane swap, although maybe not as clear-cut this time around after the Aurelia pick. But Maokai in a lane swap scenario versus a 2v2, you can dodge a lot of that. Hey, it's weird, it's Maokai, it's new. Yeah. Doesn't matter, he's not in the lane.
Yeah.
What are these saplings? What are they doing here? I actually agree. I think the Chiefs might be looking to potentially lane swap themselves, match it if not best it.
Yep.
Whereas Sin, they have the availability, I will say, with a Lucian in the lane to kind of hide an Alistar's weakness until level 2. Always standing in the front and being, I guess, aggressively stanced. Cardred should be able to do his part. And no doubt we're seeing that now.
Well, we are going to get the swap. Swiffer spotted by that ward put down, but stayed out of vision for a while. This, of course, will be our standard 1v1 lane, but one to watch, certainly, as Rhymeister, as always, is going to look to get aggressive. You can see just going in straight away, get some good auto attacks down, but Swiffer happy to answer back. Sandsoldier really not in position to help out.
And the thing that I find actually very curious is if you think about Sin's win conditions previously, it was also always the level 2 gank from Juves. In a lane swap scenario, which Sin have been picking up a lot more recently, especially in their big Cinderella week for Super Week, they were initiating lane swaps, which isolates the mid lane, so Rhymeister isn't getting that same support, although they would then just gank it with 4 people.
Yeah, instead of ganking with just Juves, they actually add more people to that, which makes it much more potent, but it has to be better timed. It's harder to execute.
Your Keystone Masteries there. Nothing really sticking out.
The Alistar Keystone Mastery, though, not taking the Wind Speaker's Blessing.
The Rogue special.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no real reason besides that it reduces damage. I actually would like to coin it as a scaling spell, but they both effectively scale, right? One just gives AoE resistances. One's like, oh, percent value to the person around me.
I'm actually really curious how this is going to adjust his maxing and his levels on Alistar. Typically, when you take the Wind Speaker's Blessing, you max E first because you're looking for the lower cooldown, so you can spam those AoE resistances off of the Mastery. When you take this one, typically you do a Q max first, so you can get the CDR off of your Pulverize and start CCing more often.
Well played trade there by Swiffer in the mid lane. Rhymeister, though, still going to get in aggressive. Is level 3 already going to try and look for something, but Swiffer just gets locked up just in range for that last Q. Looks like Corrupting Potion Chud is being chugged by Rye. Everything should be okay.
Ramos is actually a little bit out-traded at the moment. Be careful, he's out of Corrupting Potions.
Well, top lane is a push is starting, which is what we expected. Did have that lane swap, of course, as Juves is going to look mid here onto Swiffer. Swiffer is going to get flashed on. Rye's going to go straight in for it. That's the Ignite lockdown. Swiffer in a bit of trouble. Blast Auto is not enough, I don't think. And he's Kindred as well. Spooks, he's going to flash his way forward. Does have the double blast. Picks himself up first blood.
Yeah, right place, right time. Spooks with the counter gank. And I guess a level advantage to boot. This is just a very smart strategy and start from the Chiefs, recognizing where Sin will go and besting them.
Yeah, and that's the big thing is the blueprint that Sin have. You know the level 2 gank is going to come out even in the lane swap scenario, and Spooks is right where he needed to be.
Oh, wow. People actually leaving that lane. Does leave this turret a little healthier than maybe Sing would like it to be. Cardred and Chippy's are going to try and push it down, but Swiper's here. He's level 3 with the Riptide there ready to go. Chippy's actually taking way too much damage, and Cardred, he actually can't finish his turret. The Chiefs need to push down more, and Swiper's taking damage, but that tower's safe.
That's massive.
That's such a big amount of gold that's now going to go missing. The big question to me is, how does Sin react? Because currently Chippies is farming with Cardred, means that Lucian has to leave, but there is no way that Chippies is winning this without a teleport, and Spooks is already there to pressure.
Well, Rhymeister, of course, going to sit in this lane. Did get first blooded, but returns with a Doran's Ring and a Fairy Charm. So looking okay for now, but Rogue and Jude's going to come down onto Spooks. They're going to try and go in for the 4-man. Chippies cleans that one up.
Yes, Sin, they get one back for the team, and that is how they reacted, plain and simple. Instead of just letting Chiefs have the advantage, they rotate down with an emphasis. They pick up an early trade back somewhat to their favor. The real issue is elsewhere, though.
Yeah, it was effectively just gathering the support. Either you're going to make a play there and you're going to find a pick, or you're at least going to reset the wave or push down the tower as 4. So, like you said, great response from Sin as opposed to just dealing with the top wave.
But it's still thwarted because Chiefs have actually actively responded, Ejim and Raider. I will say, Maokai, plenty of wave clear if it really comes down to it. So the added bonus of diffusing the lane swap with a turret advantage favors Chiefs.
Well, we'll see what happens next, as we have reset these lanes somewhat. Bottom tower still up though, so Chiefs will have a tower advantage leading into this one, and do have 1,000 gold up as a result of mostly that.
I'm disappointed, Ejim. There's no Frost Queen's claim. Yeah, the amount of money that you make with the sapling toss, man.
Well, aggression from Rhymeister continuing. Swiffer, though, happy to trade. Knows the matchup well. Does have Null Magic Mantle up already. So should be Abyssal first here for the Azir. We'll see what Rhymeister opts for. He's a pretty aggressive player who does like to favor the Merlinomicon and the like.
But that's the thing about Azir and his current state in the meta is the Abyssal First really doesn't hurt him as much as it hurts other champions in terms of like their damage output, just because he's going to be mostly sustained damage. So he's fine to go double Dorans into an Abyssal, pick up the Nashor's, and then into the Rylai's.
I guess whilst like a LeBlanc is still a burst champion, the Abyssal is actually still very good for her because of the ranges that she uses her kit.
I'm thinking more like Lux.
Whoa.
Like Lux into an Abyssal First, you're donezo.
Well, great trade there from Rhymeister, but Swiffer again answering. Just stands his ground every time and eats the burst to the face. Rhy does not have enough damage, especially without Ignite, to really threaten just yet.
Well, that's the thing though, right? Like, he has to trade Swiffer, otherwise he just loses lane. And the only way he can trade is by getting MR and standing still.
Ooh, actually in the bottom lane though, Rogue looking for Ejim now as Cartridge also going to get a little low. He's going to move forward in onto Raider as the TP's coming in for Sin. Chippies comes in, gets a stun down onto the Maokai, sort of out of CC. Great 3-man pop from Ejim. Good flash there as well. And everybody's safe on Chiefs.
They actually all get out perfectly fine. Of course, 4 summoners burnt on the side of the Chiefs in response to the teleport. I'm not going to say it's ideal. And Swiffer says, what are you doing here?
The safety of Azir.
Ooh.
No flash, unfortunately, there for Juve, so maybe would have connected with a gank, but Swiffer's actually still pretty healthy. Getting a little low on mana, so Juve's actually going to give Rhymeister an opportunity to go back. Swiffer's going to have to deal with this next wave, but by all accounts, everything should be fine. Mid lane looking nice and even, and some good map movement early from both teams.
And again, this is the priority of the Chiefs to pick up Azir so early, and just a control mage in general. You don't need to worry about a counter pick like this. Like, Swiffer's down in CS, yes, but he looks fine in the matchup. He just thwarted that gank. They got the first blood when Spooks made the counter gank on Rhymeister going aggressive, and you effectively just neutralize the lane by taking a wave, clearing mid laner. I'd like to see more teams actually do this.
Well, it's been working out for the Chiefs so far, particularly since Swiffer has been back. But let's have a check-in with some of the other lanes now. BF Sword's completed for both these AD carries. Radiant does have a double longsword lead, so some combat stats coming in there for that lane. And top lane, Chippy's actually with a serrated Dirk. So a pretty aggressive start to his item build. Swiper, of course, going for that tank build. Does have that Balmy Cinder first, but we talked about Chippy's earlier. A decent TP to almost secure a kill just before. We'll see what we can get done here now that he's kind of back in the 1v1 matchup.
Yeah, at the least he's farming, so that's always going to be big for Aurelia, right? The first blood, the CS advantage, you would say favors him now in this lane, and having the direct, I guess, armor penetration aspect with his damage against what is health stacking, he still does a fair chunk of damage to Swiper if there is no shield available.
Well, Ejim, you can see getting a bit aggressive on the old Maokai. Radiant, nice spell shield.
Yeah, very hard to
does that Q, but here comes Rogue. He's looking for the pole. The spell shield's down. The Kong's going to come out as well, but the Chiefs will turn around and try and trade. Rogue, though, shakes that all off, popping that E. Bond of Stone helping out as well, but he's level 6 now for the Sivir. I think he's getting real aggressive, as expected, I think, in the bottom lane.
Yeah, it's something that we'll have to expect, of course. Oh, hang on.
Spook's actually mid lane. I think Rhymeister saw him, but he's going to have to flash out of it. Spooks can't chase. Red buff not going to reapply again. Swiffer did get low, but he did take heal into that mid lane. Not really under any threat. Rhymeister just having to burn the flash there.
Just trying to help Swiffer out in this lane by resetting the wave. I expect that Swiffer will go back after this.
After a bit of deeps.
Yeah.
Yeah, no surprises, honestly. It's just it's the standard mid laner having a bad time special. Like, yes, Rymeister is pressuring. He's gone straight for the Blasting Wand approach instead of going for anything further. Oh, hello.
Spooks
Nice
flashes in. Right, yeah, that's not the place to be. Chiefs with a nice ward, and Spooks cleans up a sitter.
Was he trying to just clear the pink ward, Spooks, and Rymeister didn't want him to? And there was already 3 hits on that one. It felt like greediness from Rymeister. He didn't have his flash, came back to bite him.
110%.
Yeah.
Well, slip up there does cost him a kill, and Spooks, who was going for that Devourer, almost there with double dagger ready, so we'll see if he can start getting stacking early on the Kindred. Jubes, though, on the other side of the jungle now, is going to hang out and find a wolf camp for himself. Looks like he's trying to apply a little bit more pressure for Chippies, who's pushed up pretty far, but Chippies is going to go back and pick up Caulfields anyway, as Spooks joins into the bottom lane to start a 3-man push.
Spooks having some excellent pathing so far in the first 10 minutes of this game. Really impressed with his jungle.
Yeah, he tried to defend it. That was very greedy. I mean, Spooks barely had enough mana. I feel like there's an opportunity that Rymeister, if the chain's connected, would have been fine, but it was just very well done from Spooks, and too much, needless from Rymeister. Trying to be, I guess, overly cute.
Well,
Wasn't necessary.
Tower stays up in bottom lane, so Sin will protect that bottom outer. Devourer now picked up though for Spooks, so he's gone back and got himself his first bit of extra power. Rymeister's also back after his visit to the Underworld. Does have himself the components of that Abyssal, so still that Fairy Charm hanging out for a bit of extra mana regen. Curious to see where he does go with it, but you can see Abyssal first coming in for both mid laners, as Swiffer has actually completed his already, so starting to get towards those early item spikes. Looks like mid laners are the first to get a major item completed.
Desperate attempt to freeze. Sin. I think they want to slow the pace of the game down, honestly, besides this middle lane. I feel like they're having a very bad time against Spooks.
Yeah, but that's the scary thing, though. By slowing it down, you just effectively create more time and space for Kindred to farm up her Devour, as well as her passive. So I agree that I think they want to slow it down, but Chiefs, A, doing a good job controlling the tempo and pace of the game as we see them take down the bottom tier tower, but it's also kind of a double-edged sword.
Well, Drew's going to try and make a play once more. He does have his flash ready. Rymeister double the swords in there. Good ulti there from Swiffer to disengage, but a great up from Juves. Doesn't quite pop him out from under the turret. He'll pop there. Rymeister's low, and he is going to go down. Swiper's here also. Swiffer
He's alive.
Awfully low, but not dead.
Yeah, the Chiefs just seem to have an answer at every single avenue and direction that Sin take. They've grouped up bottom. They got the turret, and Rymeister effectively gives them this middle lane pressure that they're now about to place down. The question's not about taking it, it's about how much damage can they do. Actually, Kadra didn't respond.
Yeah, Chippy's working top lane still. In fact, Sin's side lanes are occupied. Wave clear those there from Gragas. Rogue helping out as well. So just some damage to the turret. Don't take it, but you can see the Chiefs' game plan again. Just play solid, play calm, and slowly but surely get ahead.
But having control in this mid lane as well as for the jungle, especially the 2v2 Kindred Azir versus Gragas LeBlanc, the Chiefs have the pick of any objective that they want on the map. They have complete control of the bottom lane, so they can easily swing it into a dragon. If they want to prioritize Rift Herald and try to translate that into the mid lane because Rymeister is so far down, or even continue to push up into second tier tower on top lane, so many different directions.
Well, Spook's going to farm out the jungle for now. Does have a stack on that top side Scuttle Crab, so wants to get that Devourer going, but looks like he's going to clear this bottom side, and with Chiefs pathing here, Swiper still with that TP. Could be a play for that dragon that you mentioned, especially now that Kadra has gone back and got himself like Caulfields with a pair of brown boots. Radier there on the other side, finished that Essence Reaver already. If a fight were to break out, you have to favor the Chiefs at this point.
I absolutely agree. I think that the Chiefs actually have quite a large advantage at the moment. Dragon should be exactly where they're going towards. I mean, the Rift Herald should be traded potentially from Sin because, as you said, I don't think they can fight. Doesn't seem like they're putting any emphasis on it, though, even with a mark there.
Yeah, Rymeister's kind of standing in the back, though. He's looking for someone unsuspecting to walk by.
Grouping for a pick. Raidier's not a bad one, but the spell shield's there. Chain's not going to connect. Chiefs are going to take that first dragon for themselves. That's a good boost of power.
And the thing that I was going to say is his target selection actually isn't the best, because he's effectively either going to hit Nautilus, Maokai, Lamb's Respite, or a spell shield.
And you got the spell shield.
Bit awkward for LeBlanc, perhaps.
Just, there's no good places there.
And that's Chiefs strong drafting there coming out as they do take that dragon for themselves. Going to get a bit greedier as Spooks moves himself over to that top half of the map, looking to take that Scuttle Crab away. Rift Herald also available, so the Chiefs, if they want, they can make a big play for both the mages early on.
So to me, the one big advantage that Sin have at the moment is Chippies, because he's gone for the Ghostblade route. He's actually finished a completed item, opposed to components of said item. So if Chippies can get going, They can really get something done, perhaps, around the Nautilus, at least for now.
No, I completely agree, but so far we've opened up kind of into splits, or Sin special, the 1-3-1. They've moved their duo lane into the mid lane as kicking Rymeister kind of down into these side lanes to push forward, but Rymeister just so far behind, has to be so cautious that anytime Chiefs go missing in Fog of War, he has to respond with his team.
Well, he's also the LeBlanc, so in terms of splitting, it's not all that ideal compared to his Diana that he would usually play, which means he should be, I guess, preferencing being with his team where possible and just clearing the side waves once Chiefs push it to get it back in their direction. It's more about wave control now.
I also think best case scenario, like you said, the wave control, but also teaming up with Juves and Rogue on their warding journeys to see if he can form a pick around Fog of War. Well,
certainly not a demotion for Rai, because he's going to get gifted a lot of extra farm, I suppose, in that side lane. Even without the Diana, it's still a Sen special. So looks like they're sticking to the plan for now. Chiefs, though, again, still playing controlled as Chippies has actually had a lot of free time to farm up here. Huge CS lead there in that top half of the map with the Ghostblade. Not quite brave enough to take the tower by himself.
He needs Merc Treads before he gets, I guess, into team fights. At the moment, his build is split push. He's effectively filling what Rymeister is not going to be doing this game by trying to kill someone in a side lane. Actually looking towards Chippies in this game if you're a Sin fan. He's the one that you need to carry.
Well, he's on a big pick for himself. Certainly a champion he knows very well. The Chiefs, though, continue to play the map and now take that Rift Tower. A little delayed on the take, but had to reset, go spend some gold, get those waves pushing in the right directions, and it's just complete control of the river in the first 16 minutes of the game. This Kindred has so many stacks.
And the big question is where are they going to utilize it, which looks like it's going to be the mid lane. There was a bit, I was going to say almost an untimely back, but Cardru did manage to cancel his back, so Lucian burning the coaling there to try to preserve this wave as much as he can.
Yeah, half of it, which is important.
Can Minion protected though? Oh, he's dead.
It's not a Baron, remember.
It's true.
Weak.
Oh, Rymeister actually hooked up there by Swiper. Follow in, he's going to move in for the Maokai. Spook trying to zone the rest of the map, but the ulti's going to get burnt on the LeBlanc as well. Damage being chased down, but Ejim's quite low. Radier pops on the hunt to try and get in there. Sin get low, but no one's falling. Chiefs, so they just want the turret.
And once again, to me, this is the power of Maokai into the LeBlanc, because out of position trying to flank is what Sin were looking to do. Well, guess who's out of position when you're trying to flank against the Maokai Nautilus?
And that was the big thing. That was the tank top laner and the support.
Well, grab onto Rogue. Actually, they're going to try and get some damage down. Swiper pretty tanky as Rogue actually popped the ultimate to try and stay alive. The Chiefs will not get a second turret for themselves, but here's Chippy's in that bottom side. Finishes off that bottom outer and working on a tier 2.
He's actually a bit...
Plans in full effect, but he's trying hard for this one, and now he has to bail.
Yeah, the second they lose vision of the Chiefs or even see them starting to posture down towards that bottom lane, Chippies has to respect. He can't kill more than one person in a duel right now, as nice as the Sheen is for added bonus.
And the big thing also is that the Chiefs didn't have to utilize their teleport, so they still retain their summoner spell and don't lose anything but pick up the free tower. Don't have to respond to Chippy's pressure.
How confident they are as well. They're sending Raider down to deal with Chippies. Without knowledge that he's recalled, it's just blind assumptions that are always going to be accurate. The Chiefs, they're on the ball right now in this first game.
Certainly are, and you can tell that by the gold lead. 2,500 gold, but it feels like the overall control of the map has certainly been there for the Chiefs. Chippies, though, has finished those Merc Treads that you mentioned. We actually have a pair on Juves as well, which makes sense given all the CC, absolutely. But Chippies is starting to get there as far as power goes in the 1v1. He's not there just yet, but he's getting stronger and stronger. Sin actually going to group top and try a push here.
Some of the assumption that this Aurelia is not going Trinity Force with that Sheen. It's actually going to be the Iceborne Gauntlet build, trying to stack up as many tanky items as you can.
Do you think they'll go Spirit Visage with it?
I would imagine it's Iceborne Gauntlet, Spirit Visage with something like the Maw of Malmortius and Asterix Gauge.
Yeah, trying to maximize out of his W.
Yeah.
Sounds almost like a Phyto mode, if you will.
No, it's brilliant. I mean, think about how much magic damage he's across from.
Well, I like it here. Bit more of a Bruiser Aurelia style. Chippies, of course. I certainly default to him for Aurelia advice, so his build I'm going to trust in here in this particular game. Dragon up in a minute. Chiefs, of course, looking for the neutrals as always, as Spook's actually going to get an assist there on that. And 2 more stacks for himself. Radier, very greedy AD carry. Does take the gold for himself, but Chiefs not too miffed, I imagine. They're going to move back, transfer vision over to this bottom half of the map, and set up for this next dragon.
They've also got a really big wave posture on the bottom side, so if they make a pick on this triangle vision or after this dragon fight, if it's timed correctly, they can very easily rotate this into the bottom tier tower.
Yeah, and on the point of vision that we're currently looking at, Chiefs with 4 pink wards around the river area and 1 in their inventory could very easily consolidate that towards starting the dragon up. And it is effectively triangle, but like look at what Sin has in comparison to what the Chiefs have. around that dragon area. Very easy focus for the Chiefs to take.
Well, Rhymaster busy top side, but Swiper's going to meet him there. There's a discrepancy in the summoner spells, of course. Swiper can TP down. Rhymaster cannot. And it's not the easiest cancel in the world for LeBlanc.
TP coming in top, though.
Are going to try and make a play here. By the looks of things, Chippy's actually the one to join in. They actually just want the tower. They're going to see drag into the Chiefs and try and take a few more structures down. Sin do need to open up the map, but it's going to cost them this dragon.
That's not actually a bad trade. For how far behind Sin are, the fact that you can just trade an objective. I mean, obviously, you should have had that tower since the beginning, since Chief have had the advantage there, but best case scenario for Sin.
But guess why it's a bad trade? Because someone just got sated from the dragon being taken. So accelerated is this 2-1 and 0 Kindred. And whilst the trade's good because they're getting that gold back, to be honest, that was a tower that should have been down a while ago.
Yep, no, completely agree. But I just think out of your scenarios, like, you know we're going to lose the dragon fight. We need to take something.
Well, they do take something, opting not to fight, which I guess is smart. Super, though, is going to go back, and there's a pretty big structure in the mid lane that maybe needs to be looked at. Cardred is going to move aggressively forward and try and cancel that recall. Super's like, I seriously want to go back. Try and get back as far as he can. Actually takes a ward out from the side. I think it might have been a blue trinket. But Azir, I like to call him the gatekeeper. It's like a lot of these wave clear mid laners. He's really good at stopping turrets from being taken. And look, 20 minutes in, that turret is so healthy.
Azir is broken. That's my stance on this champion right now. I think he's way too good at everything. I think he's the best mid laner to be played. I think he should be played or priority picked almost every game.
It's just like, it's amazing because he was bug fixed. And everyone's like, hang on, no, he's good again.
It's not like it was bad.
No, exactly.
We can actually execute it consistently on him.
Quality of life. It's all he needed. Is Juves and Spooks, another duel here in the jungle. This time it's the Chiefs' bottom side. Juves going to get aggressive with the belly bot, but Spooks, he's not backing down. Just gets huge damage down with the smite onto Juves.
He's effectively trying to bait the ultimate as well.
Oh, right. 1-6. Great chain there. Does get the picks in. This is actually what they need to try and push down this turret. 5v4. Time for a power play.
And there's the LeBlanc. The kill threat is absolutely there. And let's talk about the negatives of Maokai in that respect. Is that if you press the W onto LeBlanc and it's actually a numbers disadvantage, you get baited in and die. It's not just about the pick, there is the opposite to that.
It's also not that tanky. His support, of course. And Sin is going to take this outer turret. This is huge for them as far as geographical advantages go. They needed to open up the map for their composition. They've now done so as the turrets actually equalize 22 minutes into the game, 3 apiece. As Sin starting to fire back.
We are absolutely seeing the discrepancy on how these teams want to execute the map right now. So Radier and Ejim are in control of the 2v2 in the bottom lane. Cardred, in fact, has been a glorified mid laner for the past 5 or so minutes, which is unlocking Sin in their particular style of play that they want to be, and that is having Rogue roam around with Juves, and then Rymeister and Chippy is even working together to an extent this time around. We're looking at effectively the Aurelia trying to carry against the Sivir and the Azir, with LeBlanc here and there doing ridiculous amounts of damage because you can never stop a LeBlanc from putting in work.
Well, you can see that Phage is actually the choice there for Chippies, so as far as that top laner goes, it is a bit more of a carry build. Trinity Force, it looks like, will be the item here.
Disappointed.
Rhymaster's also finished up Morello and Nomicon as well. A quick check-in with the gold. Chief's still leading in a lot of these lands, although Chippies does have a big lead there in top side. You can see Sin have sort of equalized a lot of the gold. Chiefs are still ahead by about 1,600, but it does feel very even 23 minutes into this one. And it's only going to take a few picks like that for Sin to open it up. And for the Chiefs, it's just going to be what they've always done. Play around the map effectively, get those big objectives. Baron's up now as well, so it's really important for the teams to make strong decisions moving into this mid-game.
No, and that's the big thing. The Chiefs have always been an objective-oriented team, so the question is, which objective is it going to be? It seems to be this bottom-tier tower, utilizing the vision that they've already had there and kind of refreshing as it goes down.
Good hurt. Grab onto Juves actually could signal something, but Rogue's going to go back in for it. Rady with a great spell shield, though. He's going to force that ultimate out of the Alistar. Pretty much just to cleanse off the CC. Rogue can't really stay now as the Chief Siege pretty potent with this particular composition. Rise actually pulling himself back down, but the Chief's damage will start on this turret.
They're just so tanky. They have to
grab
fight
it to
him.
Chippy's actually kind of a mini dive.
Oh, wow.
Huge pole there comes in as Juves takes out Egypt. Lamb's despite this going to keep the rest of the Chiefs alive as Swiffer hits a huge scoop and takes out Juves. The Chiefs turn that all the way around and a 1-for-1 trade under that tier 2.
The ability of a Kindred and Azir to control a team fight is phenomenal. If that was a best case scenario for Chiefs, there was no turret and there was no save point for Sin to hide under, because Azir cleaned them all outside of Kindred's respite and almost cost Sin the tower and the team fight.
Going to cost him the tower now because Sin cannot defend it with the health bars they have.
Chippies, though, on the other side will manage to trade 1-for-1. So again, best case scenario for Sin, the team fight didn't go their way.
Yeah, this is massive. And Ejim, you have to remember he's the support.
A
so
little
going
bit too
down,
little, too late.
no big deal, yeah. So Swiffer actually bops them all on the corner edge of the turret, which is horrible because skill shots will always hit in that area. Unfortunately for Chiefs, all of the summoners were up for Sin and they get to flash out to safety.
Well, it's just a turret trade there, pretty much on opposite sides of the map. Chippy's burned his TP, did get the trade that we saw, so still 4 apiece there on turrets. Rhymeister actually tried to get aggressive onto Swiffer as well, but couldn't quite get the pick.
The burn TP can be really punishing if the Chiefs play it correctly because, again, where the towers were taken, the top side of the map, that's where Baron's being played versus the bottom side of the map. Chiefs have complete control. They can get this big wave that Rhymeister is clearing out now, get it pushing towards them. Chippies or someone like Rhy will have to respond to it. If there's a TP disadvantage, that's a very easy Baron play or a pick for the Chiefs.
I'm not going to lie. As much as I agree with you, I haven't seen Swiper use it yet.
He's walking everywhere.
Yeah,
he's getting his cardio in.
He's
Let me tell
actually
you.
putting in overtime with those little legs that Nautilus has, bopping around. I think like even Dragon right now, the ideal scenario is that Swiper stays top and pushes it out, forces someone to go to it before they just immediately do the Dragon.
They'll prioritize the Dragon?
I feel like they're just going to start it on cooldown.
Well, it's time for a team fight. Let me tell you, Sin 2 out and Power Spikes in a lot of different places. Actually get the ulti out of Sivir. That's a big cooldown.
Look, he's walking.
For a particular team fight. And yeah, Swiper.
Kind of bounces.
Strengthening those legs.
Oh, he's, you know.
Floating in down the river towards the Dragon.
It's like a jaunt.
Boing.
Could be problems, so Swiper gets a hook down. Rogue taking damage on the front line, so Knockup's going to land in onto Rhy, but Rogue pops the ulti and looks to try and make a play, but the team's not there.
Disengage.
Good ult from Juice to try and disengage, but Rogue, I think, caught now as the ulti is going to wear off. Damage is still there, but they don't quite have enough. There it is, as Raid is able to take him out. 5v4 now with Baron available.
Yeah, it takes a while, but they do pick up the kill. Baron, potentially the threat here from the Chiefs. I think they just want to fight around it. I wouldn't wager they outright do this.
It's because Chippies is in the bottom.
He has no TP.
Yeah, I mean, they have to try and get a pick. Raider actually eats the damage on the other side.
Juice we trust.
Oh, Cardra here as well. Rhymeister trying to get a pick, but he's been caught out. Swiffer going to take him out. Uses the ulti to make sure he goes down. But Juice, he's going in. Going to try and find a miracle with the left respite. He's actually going to turn things around. Heal everywhere. That's a double. Beautiful play by Chiefs to get Baron.
That was immaculate from the Chiefs, but this is the issue. Sin, they were not wanting to team fight. They just wanted to steal the Baron away. They actually lose a base turret for it.
That said, because they don't lose the inhibitor, it's not the worst case scenario. If they had lost the inhibitor, it might as well have neutralized the Baron from the Chief. So bit of a bright spot there. And it kind of seems like the emphasis of this game that Sin, they keep making these just slightly subpar trades to the Chiefs.
Swiper not even teleporting bottom.
That guy's never going to teleport.
Just not sure where his teleport
He
button
should
is
just take
right now.
Ignite
He
right
should
now.
The
take
Chiefs,
Ignite.
so this is the point where even though it's like a 1.6k, it doesn't look like a massive lead. They've got so much time and power behind that Baron buff. Look how quickly Swiffer gets rid of turrets.
Yeah, that was pretty much solo as well. Ejim behind him just in case, but see what damage they can do with the Baron buff as the Chiefs get themselves a bit more gold.
This champion.
It's pretty good.
Knock up. No, not anymore. Displacement, slow. Super massive range. Sustained damage.
And again, I just wanted to give an extra bit of credit to Spooks because that was so clever.
Yeah.
They're using Lamb's Respite actually affecting the Baron buff
All organic
to
matter.
stop a Smite steal
Doesn't
is
save
amazing.
Sion. It does save Sion. Wouldn't that be funny?
Yeah.
It didn't save the undead champions.
Karthus.
Yeah. It's like, nope. I mean, can't save take Karthus, so it kind of makes sense. As Chiefs still going to assault this bottom side, but Sin maybe looking for a scuffle here. They know they have to fight pretty much to stop this situation. The Chiefs are more than happy to play the siege game.
They just can't afford to lose the base.
Oh,
Rhymeister's
that's
caught.
big trouble. Crits are down, and Raiders going to take him out. Culling there for Cardra, but Chiefs is going to charge in. Again, they had to make a play, but the Chiefs punish and now push down this bottom inhib.
And Rusty, you've been saying it all game, but that's effectively Maokai into LeBlanc. Immediately distortions in, eats the Twisted Advance. The ultimate is popped for Maokai. It effectively acts as an AoE exhaust, if you will.
Yeah. I mean, the only way that works for Rhymeister is if he brings the tree back into the base, but it's very hard to react on time. And it also gives a free target for Raider to hit. Instantly kills him, basically. Unfortunate stuff for Sin, but it's also counterplayed by the Chiefs.
Good smite there from Juves, actually takes out the cannon, but Chiefs still with plenty of minions left here. They're going to zone out Chippies with the depth charge. and take out that next turret. Now a second inhib looking to fall here. Sin without Rhymeister can't really fight.
Chippy's
Chippy's
caught.
going to get grabbed up though. He has to Blade Surge off to a minion. Does get to safety, but Egypt goes straight in onto Kadra. Drew's going to try and turn it around. Great ulti there to maybe even
Rhymeister's
things up.
back.
And here comes Ryan. Look at him for the damage radius. So low, but Azir just shuts him down. Chippy's going to go down as well.
hook.
As there's the hook in onto Kadra. Swiffer gets himself a triple kill. And the Chiefs going to try and close this out.
The Chiefs with 3 members dead from Sin and 40 seconds on their death timers. They've still got the Baron buff, and they just have to get through Rogue and Juves, and this could be the first game.
Oh, big ult though from Swiffer as Rogue tries to make a play. Lamp just by pop. Juves can't really do anything caught in and amongst the ulti. He's going to get some CC down, but Spooks is going to take him out, and now it's just Rogue trying to defend 1v4. Looks like he's not going to be able to do it. Swiffer's going to surf it as Rogue, tries to get him into the fountain. It doesn't quite line it up. The Chiefs, though, they will take game number 1.
Chiefs looking very impressive in this first game from the second they started their drafting phase to the second they killed the Nexus. A lot of credit to this team.
It just looks, look at that. There's no overwhelming joy. I mean, yes, it's game 1 in a best-of-5 series, but it feels like just another day in the office.
And that's sort of what we've thought about for Chiefs here. Very calm, very experienced
Nice
team.
shorts. Swiper on point right now.
Well, Sin did actually have some good fights there in that game. I think we did get to see the 2 distinct styles of the team really come out. It's exactly what we wanted. It's sort of a fun underdog matchup that's also very polarizing. We had a lot of fun there. Sin, they did try and fight because that's what they do.
Yeah. And to me, we've found very 2 clear-cut things that put the Chiefs a step ahead. It wasn't even the Maokai that was picked into the LeBlanc. It was Azir and it was Sivir. Those 2 champions did way too much damage as the only 2 carries on the team
And
effectively.
the reach of both of those champions is absurd. We've always talked about how Sivir, she's able to bounce back so she can hit the front line, crit the back line. Azir effectively does the exact same thing. He's got incredible reach on an AoE, I don't even know what to call it, stabby thing.
I know you like his here, but we're going to get a little bit more info. We're going to pop ourselves back to the analyst desk.
Thank you so much, Pastry Timer. Game 1 victory for the Chiefs. Sin fighting back very hard during the mid game, but I think we need to talk about the early game because to me, that was a lot of mis-execution. Not today.
Speaking of.
Yeah, mis-execution, and that's something that Sin can't afford to do when they pick those lanes.
And I don't think it necessarily even goes back to the early game. It needs to go back further. The draft, I just don't understand how the Chiefs managed to get Azir, Kindred, and Sivir in the same draft. It's just ludicrous. Like, we were mentioning this, right? Chiefs draft seems very, very crisp. Sin need to understand exactly what they want because they'll first pick Sivir every single time if they have to. It looked like they didn't even have any bans.
Draft was a bit questionable coming from Sin, but once again, Chiefs perfect with their drafting phase. But that early game was worrying, you could say, for Sin coming into this game, especially because Chiefs played it perfectly. They were able to lane top, they were able to get the turret very nice and easy. But then you allowed the top laner to teleport into the bottom lane. You got a counter gank in the mid lane very early on. And the mid laner that is very hyped up for Sin, that you normally want to get the snowball going for the team as well, wasn't able to do just that. It was very poor execution from Sin.
Yeah, it certainly was. And I think that the other person we have to take a look at is Egypt, because in my opinion, the Maokai counter pick as a support means that Rhymeister can no longer pick LeBlanc. I think that you either have to ban the champion or LeBlanc just, you just scrub it out of the playbook because they're not even giving, like, Aurelia versus Maokai, fantastic lane matchup for Aurelia. Like, on point, great counter picking. They didn't respect the support pick, I feel. And it just shuts down everything Rhymeister wants to do during that mid game.
Yeah, exactly. You just press W and it's like, hi, I'm in the back line.
His
No
ulti
worries.
as well is like the AoE double distorts that come out. It's like having a exhaust on LeBlanc every time. I feel it just cripples the pick.
I like the way it synergizes with Sivir as well, because a lot of teams, when you're going up against a LeBlanc, if the LeBlanc uses her W to jump in and poke one of your backline carries, Sivir just presses R, the entire team runs at you, and no longer, this LeBlanc can no longer escape. Maokai being able to lock her down is incredibly effective. And we thought we might have seen as well, LeBlanc jump backwards, bring the Maokai into the team underneath a turret, but Chiefs was so far ahead that never mattered, and Egypt was just on point, locking him down every single time before he could jump back.
And I feel like we do give the bottom half of the map of the Chiefs a lot of credit, so I want to actually visit the top half of the map just for a little bit. Swiper and Spooks, to me, were kind of the 2 catalysts that kicked this game off. Swiper saving that turret, Spooks early counter gang. Is there, like, what are we looking at of Chippies and Juves to be able to shut these 2 members down a little bit more effectively?
Well, I'm looking at Juves to try and really get into that mid lane and affect it early on. Of course, it looks like we're back to the best friends club of Chiefs, of Swiffer and Spooks. Like, This is ludicrous. This is like the two people that we've seen sort of playing together for an incredibly long period of time, just back in their comfort zone.
For me, it was just simply right idea, poor execution from Sin, whereas Chiefs, they executed it phenomenally.
Okay, well, we'll see if execution does turn around for Sin Gaming because they have game number 2 coming up around the corner. Don't go any